Look what it says. You know what? We're going to do this first. Here, in your notebook. And don't make it real tiny. Make it a little bit bigger. Draw that, like that. Draw that triangle the way I drew it. Now, remember when we solved triangles before? We use uppercase letters for the angles, and we use lowercase letters for the sides. Now, you already know this, but where's side A up here? Where's it at? Where's side A? Tell me where to mark it. Nick?
Between angle C and B.
It's opposite angle A. So that's lowercase a, opposite angle B. That's lowercase b, opposite angle C. That's lowercase c. Okay, look what it says up there. If any three, there's 6 different things there, right? 3 angles, 3 sides. If any 3 of the 6 measures of a triangle are known, provided at least one is the length of a side, then the other measures can be found. And this is called solving the triangle. Now, let's see here. You don't have to do that. Write down this definition real quick. Right, real quick, that short definition. Write that down. That's a geometry term. If a triangle is not a right triangle, we classify them as oblique triangles. Okay? There's no right angles, okay? There's no right angles. Now, little quick thing from freshman algebra. I'm sure you remember this because you're going to have to use this to do the problems. Okay, see what I have over here? Write down this little equation right here. This is from algebra. Write down this little equation. Right here. And this is really simple, but I need to show you this. X over 3 equals 12/5. And I already wrote it on the board, but from freshman algebra, a problem like that was called a proportion. You know, 1 fraction equal to 1 fraction. And I would hope that if I told you to solve that, you would simply do what? How do you do those? Come on, you can't all have forgotten this because it was pretty easy. When you had a proportion, you know, I said solve for x, all you did was, I mean, this was pretty simple. How?
Then you cross multiply?
Exactly. Remember you just did this? Look. This times this equaled that times that. Right? And then you just went to your answer. Okay, now watch what I'm going to do here. Watch what I'm going to do here. I'm going to write this again. In about 15 minutes or so, you're going to see why I'm doing this. If I told you to solve this for x, wouldn't x equal this times this? Pay attention here. This times this divided by that. If you wrote it all in one step, x would be 3 times 12 divided by 5, which is what I did here. This times this divided by this, and of course that's the same answer. Okay, here we go. Don't have to write that. Look what it says. The measures of the 3 sides and the 3 angles of a triangle can be found if at least one side and any other 2 measures are known. Okay, here we are. Here we go. You got to write that down. There are 4 possible cases. Today, I'm only doing case 1. Today, I'm only doing case 1. There are 4 possible cases. Today, I'm only going to do case 1. Here's case 1. There you go. Mark this down. There's case 1. Now, this is the first day. Let's get used to this right now. No matter what case you're given, you got to know what the case is and how to proceed. And I'm going to show you today for case 1. Case 1 says they're going to give you one side and two angles out of this. They'll give you the length of one side, and they'll give you the measure of two angles. So I'm not going to make a big deal about these letters. But that means side, angle, angle. That's angle, side, angle. And I'm not going to make a big deal about the letters. I don't even care if you know the letters. I know last year in geometry that was a big deal. Yeah, what's wrong?
Do we have to leave space underneath that big triangle or something?
No. I'm just telling you, that's the triangles we're going to be using. That's an oblique triangle. Okay, here we go. Mark that down. To solve case 1, you must use what's called the law of sines. Now, this is the big thing for today. Hear me out, because you can see over there, I'm only giving you 5 problems for homework here. These are going to be case 1 problems. I'm going to give you the length of one side, and I'm going to give you the measure of two angles. And the directions, now guys, the directions for the rest of this week, all of next week, and probably the week after that, you're always going to be giving certain parts, find the missing parts. That's why you need a calculator. You'll be using a calculator all the time now. The good news, I forgot to say this, you know how I've been, well, I'll just say it, bitching about special angles for how long in trig. I mean, when you look back at all the trig we did, look how many things where you always had to know special angles. I mean, tons and tons and tons. Good news for you, that's done. You don't have to know special angles anymore. It's all behind you now. It ain't going to come up anymore. This last topic in trig are not going to be special angles. So it's going to be all the calculator stuff. All right, here we go. Law of sines. You don't have to write that down. I want you to look what it says. I'm going to give you the abbreviated version up here on the board. See, it says see the board for the translation of this. So here we go. What it says, in any triangle with sides A, B, and C, the lengths of the sides are proportional to the sines of the angles opposite them. Now I'm going to write that out and translate all those words. This is the law of sines. This really isn't that hard. Watch this. Look what it says again. In any triangle, the lengths of the sides are proportional to the sines of the measures of the angle opposite them. So watch this. Side A is proportional to the sine of angle A. Now mark this down. This is important. This is the law of sines. In the same way as side B is proportional to the sine of angle B, in the same way as side C is proportional to the sine of angle C. Now, in a nutshell, all those words up there, that's why I say you don't have to write that down. It's easier to learn it this way. That's the law of sines. This must equal this, must equal that. Now, when you do problems, I'm only going to show you 2 examples today. When you do problems, you're not going to be using all 3 of these. Watch this. It's going to be this will equal this, or this will equal this, or this will equal that. And if you're sitting there going, well, how do you know which one to use? Depends what they give you. So here's example 1. Put this in your notebook. Sometimes, here, I'm going to just bring all this out. Sometimes they'll give you a figure, sometimes they won't. So in example 1, I'm going to give you a figure. So go ahead and draw this. Here's capital A, here's capital B, here's capital C. Now, what do I have to give you right now? What did I tell you case 1 was? Just look in your notebook there, you have it there. What's case 1? Ethan. One side and 2 angles. All right, I'm going to give you 2 angles. I'm going to say angle A is 32 degrees. Mark that. I'm going to say angle B is 81.8 degrees. Mark that. And I'm going to say side A 42.9. That's side A, because it's opposite angle A. You see that? So there's the 3 parts. Okay, now watch this. This isn't going to be that bad. Solve the triangle. If this were on a test or a quiz, this is how you would see it on a test or a quiz. I would have that all written down like that. Now you got to find the missing parts. Now, make sure you got your calculator there. Finding the third angle, well, that's easy, right? Somebody? This part's easy. How are you going to get angle C? This part. Finding the third angle is the easiest part. Now, you guys should already know this. Oh boy, come on. If you know 2 of the angles, how are you going to get the third one? Come on, you've done this many times before. How are you going to get the third angle?
Add the 2 together. Subtract from
Add them together and subtract from 180, right? So go ahead on your calculator and go 180, subtract 32, subtract 81.8. I mean, that's easy. The calculator's going to do all the work for you there. And make sure you're using these calculators properly. What's angle C? What is it, John?
66.2 degrees.
Okay, that was easy. 66.2 degrees. You don't even have to show anything for me there. Just punch it on your calculator. Now, we got to find this, and we got to find this. We're going to use that. Now pay attention. This is the first one. You have to set up a proportion, like I was doing here. Now, what measure over there do you know both of them? What measures for the letters do you know both of them? I mean, it's up there. Jack. The A's, right? You know angle A and you know side A. So you know what that is over here? That's A over the sine of A, because you know both of them. Do you with me? So you come over here, A over the sine of A. Now I'm going to take this slow. I only have 2 examples for you today. Write this down. A over the sine of A must equal. Now, do you see what I meant over here? When you do problems, you're not using all 3 of them. It's this equals this, or this equals this, or this equals this. Depends on what they're giving. So what's the one that's going to equal? Which one are you going to be using over here? Are you with me here? Depends on what they give you. So this is A over the sine of A, right? So what's the other one I'm going to use? Look, you got to look at the givens. The givens will tell you. Howard? B over the sine of B, right? So you're doing this equals this. So let's come over here. Now where's B? Isn't that B? Where's side C? Isn't that side C? Go ahead, mark your triangle. So this is side B over the sine of angle B. Boys, pay attention here. Because honestly, your calculator is going to do everything for you right now. Now, you remember what I just did over here? Isn't that a proportion? Isn't that a cross multiply thing over there? Remember what over here I said x will be this times this divided by that. So let me come over here. B will equal, watch this, this times that divided by that. Now, if you have a question, you got to ask me right now, because you're going to be using this law of sines a lot. Get this down in the first day. B will equal 42.9 times the sine of 81.8 divided by the sine of 32. Now, let me step back. Who has a question what I just wrote down? Okay, now I'm going to come back to this in a minute. Now I got to write another proportion to find side C. So now I did this for the first one. Now I want to find side C. Now what proportion is going to remain the same? Because it's the one I knew both of them. Which one's going to remain the same? Because I knew both of them. Adam. Okay, so it's going to be, now go right next to this, A over the sine of A equals, now look over here. Now I want to find side C. So I'm going to use this one with that one. Are you with me here? I'm just setting up little proportions. So this will be side C over what? Be careful here. Side C over what? What's the matter? Side C over what? You got to get this law of sines down pat today. Because everything after this law of sines is going to keep coming up all the time. Wrong.
The sine is 66.2.
The sine of angle C. So the sine of 66.2. So, what's C going to be? Watch this. This times this divided by that. Does anyone need to ask me a question what I'm saying here? 42.9 times the sine of 66.2 divided by the sine of 32. Now, here's the deal. You got to make sure you're hitting your keys the proper way. Now, everybody go to your calculator. Calculator is going to do everything now. And then when you write down your answers, you round to the nearest tenth for size, just like you did before. You round to the nearest tenth. Now, guys, listen to the keystrokes here. Here's what I would do if I were you. Get the sine of 81.8 times 42.9, and then whatever that answer is, divided by the sine of 32 degrees, and then you got to hit the equal sign or the enter key. Now, I need all of you in this class to do that because you all have to get the same exact answer. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Using your calculator, you're going to find the sine of 81.8, multiply it by 42.9, then hit equals, then divided by the sine of 32, but after you do that, hit the equal sign or the enter key. What'd you get? All of you in this fourth period have to get, you got to make sure you're hitting the keys the right way. What's side B? Round it to the nearest tenth. No, what's the matter? A lot of you didn't do it. You got to do this, fellas. You all got different calculators. You got to know how to work them. Andrew.
80.1.
That's right. 80.1. Does anyone need to ask me something here? This isn't that hard because your calculator's doing most of the work. Okay, do the same thing for side C. Take the sine of 66.2, multiply by 42.9, equals, divided by the sine of 32, but then after you do that, hit the equal sign or the enter key, and round to the nearest tenth. What'd you get? Zona? 74.1. Now, that's example one. And then, like I said, on a test or a quiz, you would just fill these in. Now, you remember what I did before when I did these problems. Everyone in fourth period should have those identical answers, not even off by a tenth. You know, if you said 80.2, yeah, it's close, but that's not the full correct answer. Who has a question? Because I only have one more thing to show you. Yes?
So since we were given the angle C, and that one, it wouldn't matter if we found C or B first, right? Like go C.
Oh, I don't care which one you would have found, first or second. You're right, that doesn't matter. If you wanted to write that one first, that's fine. That doesn't matter, okay? Which one you get first or second doesn't matter. Okay, now, example 2. Now watch what's going to be different about this. I'm not going to draw anything. Write this down. Capital A is 39.7. Capital C is 30.35 degrees. And side B is 39.74. Now, I know some of you might be sitting there going, well, why are you going, in the hundreds there? That's how the problem's given. But when I have you go to your book here in a few minutes, you're going to see that. Now, boys, just understand what I'm going to say. When you take a quiz or a test on this stuff, I'm not going to tell you what case it is. You have to know that. So, how do you know if you saw that on a test or a quiz? How do you know that's case 1? So you got to know this. So learn it now. Don't wait till the night before the test. How do you know that's case 1? Now, come on, I just gave you all the notes today. Jack?
It's just 2 angles.
2 angles and a side. Okay? 2 angles on case 1's the easiest case. 2 angles and a side. Question?
So even if it takes the decimals of the hundreds, you still write it in tens?
When you get your answers, yes. So, here. On a test or a quiz, we're going to find that. We need to find side A. We need to find side C. Okay, now go on your calculators and just go 180, subtract 30.35, subtract 39.74. What'd you get? What's angle B? What's your calculator say? Tell me what it says on your display. 180, subtract both of those. Now use what's there. Use the way it's written. Matt, read me your display.
109.91.
109.91? Is that right? Well, hold on, something's wrong. What?
You said you use CV, but you're supposed to use in Ks.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Take 180, subtract those two. Sorry about that. What's 180, subtract this, subtract that? Rob?
109.95.
Everybody, is that what your display says? Now, we're rounding sides to the nearest tenth, and well, I'm going to keep this easy for everybody so it's the same. Even though these weren't to the nearest tenth, when you get your answer, no, I take that back. There it is. Put it down. 109.95. I was going to say to round that. I don't want you to. We want exact answers. Okay, now. Okay, I'm not going to say anything. I got to find this. Which part of the proportion in the law of sines do I know both of them right now? You know, the 3 things I had, A over sine B, B over sine, or A over sine of A, B over sine of B, C over sine of C. Which one do I know both letters for? The B's, right? So, here we go. B over the sine of B. Look, equals, all right, here, we're going to find this one first. A over the sine of what? See how I'm going B over sine of B? Equals A over sine of, which one? Max? Sine of A, 39.7. Okay, so there's what I'm going to use to find A. Now go right next to it in your notebook. Now, which one's going to be the same again? Which one am I going to use again? The one you use again is the one that you know both letters for. So which one am I going to start with again? Quinn? B over sine of B. So right next to it, 39.74 over the sine of 109.95 equals, okay, now you want to find C. Side C over what? over what? Tell me what to write underneath the side C. B over sine of B equals C over, you got to write it down, I got to see it. Adam.
Sine of 30.35.
The sine of 30.35, there it is. Now I'm going to be quite honest with you. See how I wrote this times this divided by that? Honestly, you want to go right with that? I'm good with that. Now pay attention to what I'm saying. This is what I have to see. I have to see the proportions written down. Calculator's doing everything now. Now, do you understand, to find this, you're going to take this times this divided by that. Isn't that what I was doing over there? To find this one, it's going to be this times this divided by that. Do you understand? I'm telling you, if you don't even want to show me this step, I'm okay with that. Do you all understand what I'm saying? So you want to go ahead with your calculator? This times this divided by this is going to be side A. This times this divided by this is going to be side C. Your calculator is going to do everything. What'd you get? Rob?
27.
Even. It was 27.00 something. Well, that came out even. How about the other one? Okay, hold on one second here. Sine of 30.35 times 39.74 divided by 109.95 sine. What do you get? Andrew. Round it to the nearest tenth, Andrew.
21.4.
21.36 something, so 21.4. Now I got one more thing to tell you, and then I'm done. You're gonna start doing this. When you get your answers, they have to make sense. Now, how about one of you telling me what I mean by that? When you get your answers, they got to make sense. What the hell do I mean by that? Look, I just did this one. They have to make sense. Explain. Listen, they got to make sense. What do I mean by that? David?
The largest angle is going to be equal to the largest side.
Thank you.
So if you
Whichever the biggest angle is, that better have the longest side. And then, look, if you got a big angle, that side's got to be the longest side, right? So the biggest angle better have the longest side. Look, angle B was the biggest angle, easily. Well, look at side B. That was the biggest side. The smallest angle, what's the smallest angle here? C? Well, C better be the smallest side then. And the other one's in between. It's got to make sense. Now take your iPads out. Take your iPads out.